It's not something which can be taught quickly. It yields considerable dividends if we persevere. It's very simple. It's fairly easy. But one has to develop the feel of it. And the odd thing is, the more one attempts to describe it, the more one accurately produces information about it, unfortunately, the more misleading one can tend to be, especially if you're trying to compress the work of several weeks into a few minutes. However, I have found in practice, friends, that if we are well motivated, if we wish to discover what is involved in the practice of HARA, it is possible to impart a certain amount of information in the course of a few minutes, which will in fact be too much to absorb at one time. Hara is a Japanese word that literally means belly. It means, however, more than the physical stomach. It refers to the subtle anatomy of man and the strength inherent in what is man's power center, the hara, the seat of his Shakti. The two main centers of man could be alleged to be the heart and the earth, the strength, the power, the insights, the intuition, the wisdom, the love center. Our power and our insight, our sensitivity, our wisdom must be in balance. From a yogic point of view, in modern man, the earth center is very, very weak. The heart cannot open. The heart cannot expand and grow as long as the earth is weak. We are weak at this center. When we have stability, strength at this center, then we have the root basis from which we can allow the heart to open. We can allow sensitivity to progressively expand. If we open the heart, which we can do through meditation, if we open the heart without consolidating the strength in the base, we will become hypersensitive and very vulnerable and ineffective. If we develop the earth without the heart, we may become strong, but strength without wisdom is, at the very least, futility. We must have our heart and our earth in balance. The head will look after itself. How do we bring this into our experience? It is possible, it is simple, it is very therapeutic, it works. It is therefore transforming. It is a way of experiencing the whole dimension of pranayama. And pranayama is indivisible from meditation. And if we approach our pranayama and our meditation with and through the hara, our sensitivity will be supported by stability and strength. What steps should we take in developing this simple thing? I would ask you, friends, if I may, not to be deceived by the extraordinary simplicity of what I'm going to say. There is a mystery inherent in the human organism, in its simplest actions. There is a mystery inherent in breath. The Greek word for breath was pneuma, spirit. To the Greeks, wisdom, spirit, breath were inseparable. I personally believe that holds the key to the mysteries of ancient Greece. They must have known pranayama. Thus they equated spirit with breath. The Greek word for wisdom was Sophia. It may be interesting to reflect that both pneuma and Sophia, breath, which is spirit, and Sophia, which is wisdom, are of feminine gender. Let not the ladies feel unduly superior about it, but it is so. Spirit and wisdom are feminine gender. So what do we do? There are two ways of approaching pranayama. One is pranayama as exercise, and that is good. The other is pranayama as meditation, and that is much more subtle. Pranayama as exercise, approached as exercise, will not yield the yogic insight. Approached as meditation, we can make a discovery. What is discovery? Discovery is the inner content of an experience, the insight content of an experience, what the Greeks called gnosis. Two kinds of knowledge, information and gnosis. Gnosis is insight. Yoga, more than anything else, is concerned with that knowledge which is gnosis, insight, the experiential dimension. So we have to discover the experiential dimension in the breath, in the simple action of the breath. And the most important factor in pranayama is to feel, gently feel, the dynamic, the strength inherent in the slow out breath. The dynamic is enhanced by slight tension at the glottis, a partial closing of the glottis. And if we learn to breathe out and feel the dynamic in the long, slow out breath, we will discover something quite extraordinary. We will discover that there is energy in the breath, and there is a stabilizing factor in the breath, which is curiously both calming and awakening. We normally understand To be calm is to be shutting down, soporific. In yoga terms, this is not so. We have first of all to discover then the meaning for ourselves, the meaning in the slow out breath. Now you will read a number of things about HARA, which at this point I'm going to ask you, if you know them, to disregard. Because we're trying to look at it in a way which I have found works in terms of communication. So let's forget what we may have read in books. Please bear this in mind. You won't make it work immediately, but bear it in mind, let it sink in, use it, come back to it, and you'll find it will fall into place in your experience. When you breathe in, you do not breathe. The heart opens. The heart opens and draws in the breath, slowly. Forget what you may have heard about full breathing and several stage breathing and pulling in the tummy or pushing out the tummy or what have you. Let these words only be operative. The heart opens and draws in the breath. You are not breathing, the heart is breathing. The heart is breathing you on the in-breath. We are not therefore breathing for hatha yoga purposes, for expanding the chest and all that. We're breathing for a meditational realization. The heart opens and draws in the breath. Gently. And when you breathe in, there is very, very slight pressure at the glottis. Only very slight. Do not let the mind be centered on the glottis, on the in-breath. If you do, it will be counterproductive. You'll do the right thing according to the book, but you will make a block there. You don't want a block. You want to feel the slight dynamic of the resistance with no block. So the heart opens and draws in the breath, and there is a secondary level of awareness at which you perceive there is slight tension at the glottis, but it's in the background. The heart opens and draws in the breath. There is a moment or two or three of breath holding, but not to the point of strong tension. And when you hold the breath, ensure no tension in the shoulders, no tension in the brow, no tension in the fingers. If there is tension here or here, there will be tension here, and correspondingly. So the heart opens and draws in the breath gently. There is breath holding to a slight degree, then keeping everything as slow as is consistent with no strain. Let the breath be released, and as you slowly sigh the breath away, feel the dynamic in the slow out breath. Feel it. The out breath is eliminative, not merely physically, but also psychologically. Feel the dynamic in the slow out breath. By means of the out breath and your conscious attunement to the process of the out breath, the samskaras are diminished. And this is the real intention of yoga, to diminish the samskaras, the accumulated conditioning of the past. Yoga is essentially deconditioning. The freedom objectives of yoga are experienced through deconditioning. So we've reached the point where we are very aware, gently aware, but strongly aware of the action of the slow out breath. And as you breathe out, feel that the mind is moving downwards towards the earth. Feel that the belly is not pressing in, the belly is not pressing out, but is very slightly, very gently pressing downwards. There is then only momentary holding of the breath outside the body. Then the heart opens and draws in the breath, and the cycle is repeated. The slower you can make it consistent with ease of execution, the better. It's so simple. Very slow, very gentle, and if you can grasp what is meant by HARA, you will find it is most extraordinarily stabilizing, strengthening, and sensitizing simultaneously. And through HARA breathing, you will move spontaneously into meditation. Two more points. When the heart has opened and drawn in the breath, there is a brief pause. Immediately before releasing the breath, one Asvini Mudra. If that term is not clear, please consult your teacher. Immediately before releasing the breath, one Asvini Mudra, then the breath is slowly and gently sighed away. And when all breath has left the body, when the breath has pressed down into the earth, one more Asvini Mudra. And then you will find, after one Asvini Mudra, and the mind is placed on the heart because the heart is opening, the reflex of that second Asvini Mudra, when the breath is at a minimum, the reflex will automatically establish your HARA center. You do not have to deliberately create it. That's all you need to do. You don't need to make a big thing about tensing here. If the heart opens, and you press downwards on the out-breath. And when all breath is released, or seemingly so, you then make one Asvini mudra. That will release a fragment more of breath. And the reflex of that will automatically give you your HARA stability center. I've covered what could be several weeks of assiduous, slow development in a few minutes, friends. But my experience is that if we have been motivated to listen, we will be able to build on that. If we care to obtain the tape from Keith and work on it, we will be able to find out for ourselves, stage by stage, what is involved. Now let's sit for a moment. Please sit. Vajrasana is the best position. Because we need the heart to be open. The heart to be open. Open the heart. I must tell you, friends, that unless we are very expert at Padmasana, no other sitting position will do. Unless we are very expert at Padmasana, our body position will be wrong for HARA, because the heart cannot be open if the tail is tucked under. And a high proportion of us have our tail tucked under. If our tail is tucked under, the shoulders are collapsed, and both the chest and the HARA are collapsed. We need the heart to be open. If you are in Vajrasana, triangle base, Japanese version, enough space for two fists. Open the chest, open the heart. Relax the shoulders. Relax the brow. At this stage, let the eyes close. At a later stage, we will find it effective to combine HARA with Tratakam. Relax the shoulders, relax the brow, close the eyes. Let the right hand rest loosely in the left, with the thumbs just touching, tips of the thumbs just touching. Close the eyes, relax the shoulders, relax the brow, and you are the watcher, friends. You are not doing it, you are the observer. You are observing that the heart opens and the heart draws in the breath. The heart is the seat of spirit. The spirit is the breath. The heart draws in the breath, and there is only brief holding. And in your brief holding, you experience no breath, no thought. No breath, no thought. And release the breath gently allowing the breath to sigh away. And as the breath sighs away, you press the breath down into the earth. Gently. The major errors we can make are interpreting too literally and using too much effort and emphasis. There is a momentary pause, and the heart opens and draws in the breath. Be intensely aware of the gentle breath, the gentle motion of the breath as you breathe in. Be intensely aware of the instant or two or three of no breath, no thought. Then release, and the breath is slowly sighed away. Now feel the slight pressure on the glottis. Feel the dynamic in the slow out breath. To feel the dynamic in the slow out breath is the most important discovery in pranayama. And it's so easy. Feel it as you sigh the breath away. Then only a momentary pause. And the heart opens and draws in the breath. Now friends, on the out breath, the resistance at the glottis should be slightly audible. So the totality of us should be making a benign hiss that I can hear. Feel the gentle outflow of the slow out breath. Now, before you breathe in, make one Asvini mudra, one contraction of the anal sphincter, one Asvini mudra, and the reflex resulting from the release of the Asvini mudra will automatically establish your sense of HARA immediately prior to the in-breath. So we gain our sense of belly centering not by pressing out, not by pulling in, but by pressing the breath down into the earth on the out-breath and making the Asvini mudra immediately after. Breathing out. At the end of a cycle, please, friends, look up. If, friends, we have really listened, we have enough on which to build experience. You will find it works. It is very stabilizing. very strengthening. Is there a question? Yes.
For how long should one practice it in order to build up to different stages?
A suggestion could be that the time you normally allocate to meditation would be better spent developing your HARA and integrating your sense of HARA with your meditation. And progressively, as much as possible, extending the time that you spend in meditation. Having said that, the beauty of the HARA technique is that unobtrusively, or not too obtrusively, one can practice this many times in the day. One can make one's center. One must make one's center many times in the day. Whenever you sit for any purpose, make your center and then act. Act from your center. This is your sun center. This is the center of you as the active universe. One must be strong and centered here. The two triangles of the trunk meet here. This is the center. Feel your center. We have too much sense of center there, far too much. Therefore we topple. We must be like Russian dolls, strong at the base. You get a bang and you wobble, but you don't fall. Bonkety bong, you move with the punches. If you discover the mystery of breath, if you feel it, cognize it, amazing possibilities. It is a fact, amazing possibilities become very real. The inflow and the outflow are the Jacob's ladder by which the angels ascend and descend within the experience of the whole. The whole process of life, of yoga, is in experiencing and balancing energies. Whenever you sit, center. If you travel by public transport, what an opportunity you have. You can't do anything else except your HARA, can you? I do hope I've been able to convey, friends, that this is a fundamental which is worth working with. If we do our yoga from the HARA, we are strengthening as well as sensitizing. Bring your center to there. From there, there's too much cerebration, too much berserk energy up here and up here. Bring it to here. We need to be harmonious in our total experience. You know, yoga specifies several centers. Our centers need to be harmoniously developed. The most important single fact, the most important purpose of yoga, the most important function of religion, if you're going to mention religion, is to awaken the heart. Awaken the heart. The natural course of evolution will look after the head. It will. We don't need to worry about it. That's not our problem. Our heart is stifled because our earth is weak, because we have not the stability and the strength. We are afraid to allow the heart to open. So we don't. We close it in, and it's visible in our posture. The outer form is the expression, the living symbol of what goes on within. And all around us, you look at our great cities, human beings like that. They are. They are afraid to allow the heart to open. Forget about the head. Any old Charlie can be an intellectual. But to work with the heart, to be unafraid, to have the strength to allow the heart to open. Incidentally, I didn't say a word about the base chakras other than a brief Asvini Mudra for the purpose of breath adjustment. We are not concentrating on the base chakras. Our concern is Manipura, the element of which is fire, the sun, spirit. You mentioned Christianity. I believe something was said about, I come to spread fire over the earth. Don't be afraid of it. It's fundamentally benign. Are there any other questions, friends? I could take one more. Yes, dear.
I don't know what I mean by opening the heart. Opening the heart. Ever have to open the heart?
Frankly, I don't want to explain it.
Can we hear the question, please?
Ah, yes. Yes. Our friend here doesn't know what I mean by opening the heart. Now, if we look at the standard yoga model, it is concerned with opening the chakras, is it not? And this chakra is Anahata. This center is, however, more than the Anahata chakra. It is also, in one very important teaching, the seat of Atman, the true self of man, where the spirit resides. The principle of perfection within is there, in the spiritual heart of man. The whole process of opening the chakras is only a model for describing deconditioning, the removal of blockages that prevents the full flow of the potential energy inherent in you. If you are concerned to meditate, if you are concerned to discover your heart, you will. If you want to make the breath part of the experience of the energy of the heart, you will find it. And it might assist your reflection, should you be interested, to read a little book by Paul Brunton, The Secret Path by Paul Brunton, in which he describes what is termed the secret teaching of the heart, as expounded by the great modern sage, Ramana Maharishi. It's published by Ryder. If you want to reflect further on what is meant by opening the heart, read that little book.